feeling somber right now.
Real somber.
Feeling
Okay.
good.
How's your day been going so far with the filming?
Going good.
All right. Well, I mean, me and you've had these kind of conversations all the damn time. That's kind of what we do. That's our thing, hey? But I'm gonna ask you some questions that I'm quite interested to see what you're gonna answer. But the first one is describe a time that someone helped you appreciate a part of yourself that feels hard for you to love.
Shit. Damn. Okay.
We jumping into it.
I think it's more recently where like people are helping me like realize things that I appreciate about myself. I think I've really struggled with like a very loud mind, like a lot. And I think the one thing I've had trouble with is accepting that that's okay. So I feel like with that, like being able to have a lack of acceptance within myself, like I automatically assume that people feel the same way about me. And I think it's only until recently where I'm like meeting people in my life that I feel like, even though they don't explicitly say like, you know, like we don't judge you for that, like I used to feel like around some people, I would just get the vibe that I can't like open myself up to them. But like you mentioned, like as of recently, like I've met like a lot of new people, a lot of like people are coming into my life that were gone for some time. And I think just in general, like the amount of people I've been meeting, like sort of like I met like some people at a concert like a month ago, just as you have, and I don't know what it was, but I felt like that newness was a door for me to just be how I want, and it kind of taught me that if I am myself, and I can be solidified in that, then if people aren't accepting of that, I can't really mend myself with them at the same time. And I think that would go for like you and everyone in that group. There's some way that like everyone that I know kind of feeds something that maybe another person couldn't provide before. And I think that's just radical acceptance in like how I am, because I'm a very, one day I'll be like chilling and just listen to music and just I'll be dancing in the middle of the street not caring, and then the next day I'll be like very like I can't talk to anybody.
I see.
I think I met someone, like one of my like close friends now, like we just literally met recently, but their name's also Fiona, and we're very like mirroring each other in a sense, where a lot of like the things that we tend to struggle with personally, which also contributes to our own kind of like insecurities, we're kind of affirming to each other like, you know, these things are okay and we're willing to accept those parts of ourselves. And I'm like learning too from them especially, and from you and from everyone that I know, is like things can like coexist. I think like you can have an intrusive thought, but it can coexist with the actual truth that you're within, if that makes sense. And I think I think I'm just learning to have radical self-acceptance for myself, and a lot of other people are helping reaffirm like that's okay. And the way my mind works isn't something to be guilty for, I think. And then I would say like I have a pretty solid like family support system that they're there for me too, but yeah.
Okay. You spoke about just like very recently about feeling guilty for being yourself. What are the kind of things beyond like the friend group that we're in right now and like just yourself in general that kind of help you step out of that guilt for yourself and allow you to live your life the way that you want to?
I think being able to recognize that the root of it is that I don't like feeling guilty. But I gotta realize that I think I came to this realization that with a lot of things that I was thinking, it was rooted in the fear of guilt. Because things that have happened before, I know that feeling of having like a spotlight on you and like fingers pointed at you because you made a mistake, and it's like very like intimidating in that sense, because I don't know. It's scary to have a spotlight on you all the time, in a bad, or what it feels like in a bad way. I think I grew up like around very judgy people, but I never realized until like recently that even though we thought in elementary we were like the gold standard good kids, there were still people that were judging you for breathing. You know, you could wear a shirt with something that you're like, I love this shirt, and then someone would be like, what the hell is this? Like, you look so dumb in that. And it's like that thing kind of accumulates over time. And I guess the way I've learned to cope with that is like just, I guess, realizing or pinpointing to myself and questioning myself when I'm like, when did you sort of take on the belief that you weren't deserving of love to begin with? I think. And I think when I realized that, it was kind of like a look in the mirror kind of thing. And I realized that anytime I would do something like maybe I was going through something, but I want to overblow what I was going through just to get attention or something, I realized like that was in spite of love. And I think what's been helping me navigate through things like guilt and all of these things is just realizing that there's a root to it and then kind of like dancing with it in a way. And then being more accepting of it. Like even like the crappy days, like I used to just scream at the world. There'd be a lot of screaming, a lot of anger, and I think if I'm able to understand that it's fleeting, and I can, you know, go through it and then just know that there's something better, then I think like that it's more of like perseverance and just knowing that like it's me and I don't have to. I think it comes down to just understanding I'm just a human at the end of the day.
Indeed, and I think what you're speaking on is really, really well put. Especially when we realize that we're doing things in spite of love. We're not kind of coming from it. It's something that you can kind of feel, and obviously pivoting off of that. So the next question that I want to ask you, based on this conversation right now, is what is self-love to you then? How do you show yourself self-love, and like how do you embody that for yourself?
I think. Sorry, my stomach be making noises.
That's okay.
I think self-love. See, like I think people have this image of self-love, but it's not their own image of self-love, and I think that is what self-love is what brings you joy. Because I think a lot of things are rationalized, but if it's rooted within feeling and you like feel it to your core that that's like what you like to do, I think being able to step into that, it like involves like self-love. Like if you like to do like what others would consider weird, like I don't know, picking up a camera and taking videos, or just whatever you can fully step into and it makes you feel like you're fully embodied within your own skin and there's no remorse that comes with that, and especially connected to other people in that sense. I think that's what self-love is. Just being able to again embody you, but then that takes figuring out, and I think that's something that's like you either learn or you build yourself or you take from your childhood. And yeah, I think that's what self-love is. And also fulfilling things that weren't filled when you were a kid. People may have maybe judged you for something, and if you're willing to almost put a middle finger up to that narrative that they gave you in the first place, then that's almost an act of defiance within self-love.
Yes.
And I think that's super important.
Oh, I really enjoyed the depth of your answer. Okay, I'm running a little bit of time, but the last one. I really would like to ask you this question because I was going to ask you it anyways. Do you think right now, with the person that you are and the person that you're stepping into, are there any hard conversations that you are avoiding with yourself right now that is holding you back?
I think a lot less before, or a lot less now than before. I think the hard conversations I'm having with myself are like how maybe a mix of like how bad do I want to be who I want to become, or what am I willing to do to get there. And I think there's times where I have to detach from like crappy like old habits, I guess, to fully sort of embody that. But I think there's a few conversations like questioning like my viewpoints or being, I think I'm brave enough to step out of it, and I haven't really sat down with it. I think I've just found coping mechanisms for it. But in other areas I have kind of been like, okay, I guess I'm just trying to find a way to navigate through the things that make me like freak out, but in a way that feels more sturdy and like less screaming at myself in the face for it.
Okay. So honestly, it's kind of like on that topic of self-love and showing yourself the love and the empathy to kind of progress while still being a person.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Think of your life in the last little bit. What mistake have you made recently that have you learned a lot from?
I think maybe living too much for other people is one thing that I've made a mistake with a lot. And that would go with anything regarding like maybe the pandemic. I would not go out a lot of the time because I would try to protect myself or protect my family a lot. but then or I would do other things like I just never knew how to say no to things I didn't want. And then the more I think I did that, like the more I wasn't rooted within my own truth, and I was like, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with how you spoke to me. I'm not okay with how you treated me. I guess just not having communication with other people, but myself, I think, is like a mistake that I made, and I'm like learning to, because I think the scary part about that is when I was making those mistakes and not, I guess, embodying me, I lost myself really deeply in that. Like I didn't know anything I liked, and like last year, I had no idea who I was. I was like so deep in a hole that I'm just like I can't. Every day was bad. I'd wake up feeling really anxious, and I guess like with that came bad habits like substance abuse. Yeah, just not being rooted in me and my values, and that was clouded because I think everyone told me what to do growing up, so I never really understood, what do I value as a human, and it's just little things like even when I talk back to like a family member, it's like you can't talk back to me because that's rebelling you, and it's just like it kind of shuns or like hushes me, and I think that's a mistake I don't want to make again. Is where I'm like I'm afraid to lose someone for being me, and I think that's it's a scary thing. But then I've learned that if you can't really be you around people, and even like the weird shit, like it's not even to excuse my language, it's not even to like ignore the mistakes, because we can be wrong as people, right? But if you're wrong, then the right people aren't gonna, I think, leave you for that. They're gonna try to make you like right morally, and they're gonna feed love off you. But yeah, I think just comes down to accepting. Yeah.
That's really beautifully said. And as one of your close friends, I would have to say that you are growing very beautifully, Nathan.
Thank
You're
you.
going in an absolutely wonderful direction, and I think everything that you said is very poignant and cognizant with the person that you are and the person that you want to become. So I want to assure you that you're going in the right direction. Woo! Nice.
Now that's a
Like that. Love that.
sick.
I'm not gonna press the button.
I was telling my stomach to
I was going in my stomach.
I can tell you
So much.